Your excellence insight for the day. How can you dramatically improve your own leadership technique? Follow the chain of logic here. What is leadership? One of the best definitions is the simplest. It's that which would not happen in your absence. Leadership is that which would not happen in your absence. In other words, it's the thing that you cause to be the case. That is leadership. Now, what is good leadership? Well, that implies that somebody who can see what should happen becomes involved and causes it to happen. So our chain of logic, leadership is that which would not happen without you. Good leadership is that which is caused to happen by a person who can see what should happen. So, how do you see what should happen? The answer to that is actually relatively simple. You need to ask clever questions. In this month's Harvard Business Review, there's a fantastic article on the art of asking clever questions for leaders. And they point out that the questions that get most leaders into trouble are the ones they fail to ask. You can't ask too many clever questions. Here's a very simple one that helps you to see more and really becomes the foundation stones of building wisdom in your life. And it is the very simple question, what did we learn from that? Yesterday was my son's sports day, and they're all 7 years old and they've got them playing small games out on the field. And one of the games followed this basic format. The whole team lines up on one side, and some of them are doing jumping jacks and some are doing push-ups and one is chasing a butterfly and none of them are focusing. Then the coach yells, "Go," and the one in front has to run over to a box, pick out a card, run back to his team, hand over the card, and then the next kid runs across and does the same. It's a basic relay race, but it becomes fantastic in the hands of 7-year-olds. What actually happens is the coach yells go and the first kid runs in the wrong direction. Then his teammates shove him back the right way. He runs over, picks up a card, and becomes engrossed in the card itself. Doesn't like the card, rummages through the box, finds a better card, and then wanders back in a daze looking at his card. What happened most often was perhaps the kid running as fast as he could, but getting back to his teammate and just throwing the card at him. Now, the kids all ran roughly equally fast, but the teams that won were the ones that did a smooth handover, the ones that realized this is actually a team effort and we have to work together. So, comedy of errors and fantastic to watch. Afterwards, I have my son in the car, and in the interests of instilling the beginnings of understanding some success principles in life, I said to him, "Mike, if you could have it all over again, and you could talk to your team and tell them what they should do and what they shouldn't do, what would you tell them?" And for about 5 seconds there was silence from the back of the car, and I thought, not sure he understands the question. Then he came back with about 6 things that he would change, including the idea that what's on the card doesn't matter. It slows you down if you stop and look at it. Pick up the card and go. And he suggested things like, don't look at what the other team's doing. That slowed us down too. And if you could do a smooth handover, that speeds things up, expressed in 7-year-old language. And at the end of that, you could see that he was rearing to go and wanting to do the whole thing again. There's something quite encouraging there for the aspiring leader. You look at the difficulties of leadership, and what changes is that when you are armed with success principles, it actually becomes invigorating. You want those challenges because you can look at them and say, this is that. I have come across this dynamic before, and I have a preloaded principle. Now that was 7-year-olds running on a field, but boards of directors could learn from that question too. Governments could learn from that question too. Dr. Thomas Sowell, one of my favorite economic historians, says that most government policies would never be repeated if they simply asked the question, what did we learn from that? Because what tends to happen is that it looks kind, it sounds kind, so they do it again, but they don't assess the before and after data. Was there an actual improvement? Did it stay the same? Did it make the problem worse? They don't bother to ask that question at the highest levels. If you make a habit of asking the question, what did we learn from that? You can become a strong leader. It is the beginning of wisdom because you observe what has gone before, you evaluate the effectiveness of it, and you are not swayed by the emotion of the thing, you actually extract data from it. What did we learn from that? It's one of the questions they cover in Harvard Business Review this month. It's one of your smart hacks to becoming a good leader. Leadership is that which wouldn't happen in your absence. Good leadership is seeing what should happen. Asking the question, what did we learn from that, helps you to see what should happen going forward.